Hello and welcome to How to Stay Married So Far. Now, we haven't done one of these for 2 weeks, have we?
No, because we lost our lovely Chi-Chi.
We lost our Chi-Chi. I've got a very unwell friend in a hospital. Life has been, crazy. Mark's mum has been really ill. It's just like...
and in fact, on that note, we do sometimes do a version of this podcast where we do the good, the bad, the ugly, and I think our next episode should be that. But I felt we needed to just lighten the mood a bit.
Yeah, so we thought we would just go totally away from all of actually what's going on in our life and do something that we know you guys love. And it's when we talk about the crazy sexual goings on of the younger generation.
It's not the younger generation.
Let me finish, because I know what I was going to say, which is the ABCDLMNOP or JLSKULNMOP. What are all the letters?
B.D.S.M.
B.D.S.M. So I have been hearing about BDLMNOP for on and off for ages, and I've had all the oh my God, this just sounds awful. And I've heard things like, oh God, every young man, every woman wants LMNOP, and men are getting so worried because they don't always want to spank the arse and tie a girl up every time they go out with someone. So I've been hearing about all of it like it's this new thing. I'm wondering, has this come out of the pandemic? Is this, and I've just carried on with my life. But actually, Mark found an article about B.D.S.M.
I found a few articles actually,
and actually. It's just the broad spectrum of what can go on for anyone that's a wee bit kinky.
Have you ever, let's kick off with just an absolute sterling question, I feel, from the off. Have you ever quite liked just a slap on the arse?
We're not going to start with anything like that. Right, let's first of all...
No. I wasn't asking you, the lady doth protest a bit too much. It was a rhetorical question in the world of YouTube social media. Has one ever because if you have, the question is the point is there's a reason for it.
It's not me.
If you've even liked just the lightest tap or just a strong hold of the hand, and I'm being serious here,
or a bit of dirty talk,
then you are in the foothills of LMNOP.
Well, this is what I thought, because I thought, blimey, unless you're just doing it. Everybody's going to have a bit of BDSM in them, but can you give us what the letters mean?
Yeah,
because I'm not going to get them right.
So the acronym BDSM it conjures up. It does conjure up images of kind of sex dungeons. When I throw it around, I'm kind of thinking of gimps. I'm thinking of straps. I'm thinking of racks.
Come on, Mark.
I'm thinking of tying up.
Sorry.
No, okay. But so what does it simplify? What does it mean? Okay, so the letters refer to bondage, dominance, submission, and sadomasochism.
Yeah.
And so all of those things, bondage, dominance, submission, sadomasochism. Now the weird thing about this, and I love making Nadia squirm. You could argue that's a little bit of kind of verbal BDSM.
Shut up.
But I thought we'd look into this and explore it a little bit like we did with pegging. That generated a lot of kind of interest and excitement from people.
I still get people talking to me about pegging.
Yeah, well, people find our discussion of it
asked me on the bus the other day. It was quite embarrassing.
What did they ask you?
Just asked me about...
Did they say, do you want to peg?
No, they didn't ask me. They just said, what about that podcast you did on pegging? I was like, okay.
That's worrying.
Exactly.
Okay, but even then, within the realms of BDSM, bondage, domination, submission, and sadomasochism, you've got different types of sort of fetishistic play. I mean, the reason you can't talk about BDSM without quite quickly lurching towards things like the torture chambers, the torture dungeons. There are lots of clubs. There's a real kind of culture. There's a subculture of this. And if I'm honest, in my early days of when I was kind of raving and all that kind of stuff, there is a kind of crossover with all nightlife kind of tribes, if you like. You could go to some kind of clubs. I've been to some raves where you could argue at the edges of it was a bit fetishistic. And I've never found the people who attend those clubs or go to them threatening at all. One of the misunderstandings about BDSM and sadomasochism and all that kind of stuff is that people must be horrible. It's actually, you often get quite sort of floppy, nice, respectful. Floppy, well, not floppy
That's
as in
a strange
flaccid.
word.
No, but you know, kind of gentle gianty types.
Surely we're going to think
You
flaccid
might,
if you say
okay, what I'm trying to
floppy
say
in a
is you
discussion
might,
about sex.
someone might come towards you dressed in a studded leather suit and they might look quite threatening, but actually if you're having a cup of coffee with them, you'd be chatting about just cats.
What's the B again?
Bondage.
So there is nothing new about this. It's sadomasochism.
Yeah, and BDSM, it's just a term that, yeah, but within that, dominance, submission, sadomasochism are different. Bondage is the physical
Yeah.
restraint of a
Yeah.
partner during sex.
Yeah.
Dominance
And that
is
could be anything from, as they say in the
Handcuffs.
article, furry
handcuffs.
handcuffs
Yeah.
to the thickest, heaviest rope. When I read that, I thought, what are you going to do with a thick, heavy rope?
But it can also include really tight cords that constrict the blood flow to your testicles. And some men like to kind of have their penises strapped to them.
Why?
Some women like to have their breasts
Do you
tight
think
around their
all-
body.
I mean, in that article it says...
Doesn't do it for me.
In that article... Oh, sorry, I hiccups. In that article it talks about how... what was the famous film? 50 Shades of
50
Grey.
Shades of Boring.
50 Shades of Boring. That the reason that he was the way that he was in that was because of his abusive childhood,
Yeah.
which made me feel a bit
Sad. Sorry.
sad. But I suppose I always think if somebody's really into pain and real like constriction and all of that, I suppose I always assume that it's come from something like that.
From damage.
Yeah, from some sort of
Yeah.
mental damage. But that's not the case.
No, and that kind of ties in with what I'm saying. I think we expect people to be broken, destroyed,
Yes.
post-traumatic stress disordered, veterans of horror. And actually, it's not. This is happening in suburbia. This is happening amongst normal people. And there are sort of rules.
All those bad things happened in suburbia. So just because you're in suburbia doesn't mean
I lived in suburbia and I lived in the urban ghetto.
suburbia ain't great.
Suburbia is frightening.
No, but I was interested in that because I always assume, beyond a bit of slap and tickle and furry handcuffs or whatever, that when you get into something extreme where you're wanting to be really hurt, that it must come from a damaged place. And I suppose I still think that. I think, why would anyone want to be really hurt?
There is that. I think part of it for me is also, and I quite like the fact, I can't remember where I read it, I've got a couple of articles here, and one of them said something like, sex should never become like a chore or, just another thing that gets done or done. Listen guys, there's not a lot in life that you can get for free. It has to be about consent, it has to be about safety, and it has to be about mutual agreement.
Well, in the world of B.D.S.M, they break it down actually very well, don't they? So
Yeah.
obviously you'll have rogue maniacs that would just do this to somebody when they don't want it done.
Serial
That's
killers.
a whole different, sexual assault, rape, all of
Yeah.
that. But within, they talk about
Well,
it
I'm
has
gonna
to
go
be
through-
absolutely first and
Yeah.
foremost about consent, and it's really quite technical, isn't
It's
it?
incredibly
All
technical.
the planning before and anyway.
Well, it's incredibly technical. And when you get into some of the phrases, I think this will be, this is manna from heaven for us, because there are certain words that you think, my God, that's so, my pet hate with relationships altogether is formality. And so as I went into this, I was drawn to, wow, you're doing some of the, when I say dark, I don't mean literally dark, but quite pervy, quite out there, quite, take
It's
it.
pervy. See,
Pervy isn't bad. I think pervy's all
you
right.
see, it goes back to this thing that I'm so obsessed with, is why do we feel shame and guilt
Yes.
about something that is totally natural, that is free, that if you're not hurting anyone else, why should there be any shame, guilt or embarrassment? And yet there is.
Yeah.
So the thought of sitting down and talking through what you want and what you like and what you don't like and what it just fills me with horror. I think I'd just be too embarrassed.
I'm going to throw some really quite hardball, radical feminist ideas at you. Because I grew up reading Andrea Dworkin, bizarre. She was a leading feminist American writer about porn and the politics of power and feminism and all that kind of stuff. I would go so far as to say that the very thin end of the wedge of BDSM is a woman in a heterosexual setup, a woman wearing extraordinarily high heels. I would say, just in terms of dress decision, you're looking at in that decision and what a man might like about that sharp high heel, there is the DNA of BDSM. Because I think it speaks to that strength, you know, height,
I mean, yeah.
a point, it's shiny, I mean, all that kind of stuff.
Happy with it.
And so, and the reason I say that is, I think this BDSM thing, I think we, you know, because often there's the question, well, women who are into it, why are women into it? We're all victims of kind of our peccadillos and our pervs being monetized and being kind of commercialized. And I think there is what we would probably say there's the permissible and acceptable end of BDSM, which is 50 Shades of Grey, is dressing up in high heels. It's kind of...
Well, 50 Shades of Grey before it came out was, you know, that was so much...
But were you shocked by anything in 50 Shades of Grey?
I can't remember.
I mean, you know, slapped with a whip. Have you ever been slapped with a whip?
No, I have not. And I'm not going to go through...
A lasso? Have you been lassoed?
Don't think I'm going to say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no.
No, but sometimes there's a thrill in that.
I am not... No, I have never been whipped and I would never want to be whipped. But I don't judge somebody if they want to and accept, but I don't understand it. Okay. I don't understand why pain is...
a thrill.
Is sexy.
I'm going to say something now which is maybe a bit too much.
Well, don't say.
No, I mean, I remember, I think 1 or 2 relationships where I was very much with someone in a sexual situation where they were wanting to be quite dominant.
They were wanting to be
Yes. And I remember them blindfolding me and tying my hands to the bed. And I found it quite thrilling. And I think...
I remember.
No. And I think... No,
I remember.
But I do... The reason I remember it like that is because we were kind of playing at it. It wasn't like she wasn't an experienced kind of BDSMer. But we were toying with it. And I think...
I think when you're younger you do, don't you? I mean, it's funny and it's like...
It's like I tried the melted ice cube on the tummy for 9.5 weeks. It just makes a mess of everything, doesn't it? Yeah. So... But I'm trying to think back to that, and what was it that was nice about it? I think the thrill was, you know, not threatened, but the thrill was that you felt like you were doing something naughty.
Yeah, well, but that's totally understandable, and I think most people have done that. I don't think that that's anything particularly out there, is it? And the thing is, where that comes from is, I think especially for a man, it's like, oh my God, she wants me so much that she got to tie me to this bed and have me. So it's like, oh my God, this is like the horniest thing in the whole world because she, you know, maybe she'll leave me here as a sex slave, which is, it's still quite playful. But to be put into, say, like
a cage,
dungeon and just be tied up, that is... I can't get away from the fact that I think there must be damage there to do that. I don't understand it.
I know, I'd be interested.
But she's very much, this article is very interesting in that that's not the case. And I was fascinated at how happy people are in these relationships. Yeah. That there is this another level of trust and understanding. And I was like, as I was reading that, I was thinking, and intimacy, because we will quite often say, won't we, when we're talking about other relationships, God, people are so formal with each other, aren't they? Oh, look, do you mind if would you? Oh, I don't know. Yes, well, possibly. On a Thursday. Well, I'll look in my diary. That kind of relationship to us, we've always gone, ugh. But for somebody that's in a BDSM relationship, the intimacy of being able to say, this is what I want. This is how I want it to end. This is what I want before. They talk a lot about the aftercare. The aftercare of sex and how important the aftercare of sex and how respected the safe word is. That is a kind of intimacy that we would know nothing about. We would never sit down and talk about sex. I just couldn't. I would be embarrassed.
When someone's got your balls in their hands and they've got a sheet of sandpaper, you need a safe word and you need aftercare.
Why did you have to bring up balls and sandpaper?
It's just there. Okay, well, types of BDSM. That's really. I love what you said there because I think that's so important, and I found that fascinating reading this.
I did.
That there was almost an elevated sense of intimacy and trust and respect that came out of tickling the very edges of.
Fascinating.
Tickling the very edges of what we think's permissible, and I do think society played.
Being able to sometimes see how people might see you. You know, when we talk about, oh my God, because we're so intimate, we talk about everything. And a B.D.S.M person, a person in this intense relationship, we look at some sad fucks. How can they be that polite and embarrassed and like shy and like, it's weird.
Yeah, no,
like,
you're
to
right.
know that we're like, we've got like a huge problem.
What we have.
Yes.
Because we don't understand it and we don't
No,
do
because
it.
we can't do it.
I don't mind trying. I mean, I don't want to go down the cage route. And we've got...
No, I mean, that...
We could. I know what we
do you
could... Tell
know
you
what
what we
made
could
me
start with. I'll tell you what we could start with. I'll get in the car, forget my keys, you lock me in the car. Let's see how it goes. We'll get peace and quiet for a while.
So there's this deeply intimate relationship, and I get what they're saying in it, that there is such trust, because if we couldn't have a conversation like that,
Yes.
why couldn't we have a conversation like that?
Yes.
There is a place of not being able to trust each other with that.
Totally.
I mean, I do know where that comes a bit for me, but I'm shy
Where does
and
that come
aggressive.
from?
Well, I don't want to go into it, but right when we were first together, and the jealousy
Oh,
made
right.
me anxious to say anything to you, because
Right.
you would like even now, if I like when we were for years when we were together, still now a bit. If I flirt a bit with
It
Mark,
doesn't happen anymore.
with Mark,
I've got past that for the last 5 years.
would get jealous of his own self.
That is true. That is true.
But that's me knowing you so well,
That's
because
true.
I can.
But I can
That
laugh
is what
about
I
that.
love about you, because you cannot lie, you cannot
No.
pretend, you cannot anything.
No.
So I would see all this torturous emotions
No,
going on.
it was very confusing.
So I literally stopped.
I was threatened by me.
I'm a very flirty person. Like when I talk to people, I'm flirtatious with women in the same ways that I am with men, because it's my way of communicating, you know. And so I would like be pulling myself back from being flirtatious with you, because I could see it would cause you enormous pain.
Well, I was
and make you
jealous
feel
of me.
unsafe. You were jealous.
I was jealous of what I was getting.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it, guys. Imagine being
No,
jealous
that's how
of
fucked up I
yourself
was.
when your wife flirt. That's how bad.
So
it
you
was.
mean that prevented you from what, fully opening your dungeon?
No, but that.
Oh.
No, but
Do you have more dungeony impulses?
joking aside, that, because it is important, you know what we're going to do, just skirt over a whole fucking conversation, or we're going to talk about it properly, and this is coming to me now, because I'm remembering this. I definitely became, through those early years, I definitely became really cautious, because, not because I was frightened, not because you were like, it was not like a bullying thing, but just like I could see that it was very, very difficult for you. So that's where my caution came in. But within this article, which is really interesting, I loved that it made me think about us, because I think all relationships can be smug about certain areas, and I think sometimes we can be a bit smug between ourselves about how well we communicate and how well we talk to each other, and I just love that it shone a light on something that we are not.
So do you
intimate.
think we're not intimate?
Yeah. In
We are.
that way.
Oh, no,
now,
not in this
I'm
way.
not talking about tying something, throwing in a dungeon. Fuck that. But
Oh.
to be able to have a conversation,
Hmm.
to be able to say, you know, this is the safe word, or this, or to plan, or to... It talks a lot about aftercare.
Well,
Did
no.
read?
You know, hang on.
And I'm
Let me get to these phrases, because
Go on then,
well,
sorry.
no. Yeah, I mean, saying you didn't know anything about the subject, you've done such better comprehensive reading of this. I'm still kind of going through it. Jesus Christ, I got snagged at so many things and made mental notes, and I was looking up shops.
But isn't it interesting
Oh, I
how
wonder
male
where-
and female we are looking
Yeah.
at this article? I've gone deep into this.
Yeah, you've gone into the
and
deep
you're
end.
still
Well,
and you just keep saying dungeon.
No,
and rope.
no cage, and sandpaper and bollocks. I mean, I'm still in that place where I'm thinking, could this be our entry point to some kind of
So you're
BDSM?
looking at it opportunistically.
No, not opportunistically, because within it there's a wealth of increased trust and I mean, because you've just taken us all the way back to a time when I was an absolutely hopeless husk of jealousy. And I'd like to think I've made progress beyond that. So
No, but you do. But I think, because let's never forget, this is a relationship podcast.
Yes,
And I know you
calm down.
slavishly want to get on with the
No.
details. We can always do this in two parts.
No.
But I think what's interesting is what comes up is that we don't get to escape the things we didn't deal with. Do you know what I
No.
mean? So here we are, 20 years married, happy. A lot of it's been very difficult. A lot of it's been unhappy. But we were here 20 years. And there are certain things within relationships where we are all allow scar tissue to get over it, but underneath the wound is still there a little.
I know our subs and followers of this podcast, when they watch it, love watching my eyes start to do spirals, and they're spiraling now because I'm trying to work out, so are we still in a place of disconnect that we need to resolve?
I think disconnect is you going to your place.
No,
Where can
I'm willing to come back.
Come back. I think it's talking about intimacy. I think we have a gloriously intimate relationship in the way that we communicate, right? I think that we are so aligned in the way that we look at the world, in the way 9 times out of 10 we'll go, oh God, absolutely, we like the same things, hate the same things. You know, like we can go to I went to see a film yesterday. Within 2 minutes, we both were thinking
In the same
what
place. Yeah.
So we are very interconnected. You always know where I am and what I'm doing. I always know where you are and what you're doing. Not out of jealousy and control, but we just,
whenever you can't get me though on Snap Maps, I'm in a dungeon.
but we're very connected. You know, like we had this discussion at Loose Women the other day, and half the women were saying, "Oh, I never know where my partner is, and I never know what they're doing," and I would never say, "I'm on my way home," or "I'm doing this," or "I'm doing that," and I just found that so weird. But I think listening, reading this, and me just going, oh my God, how horrendous. Instead of just going with that, I questioned why I said that. Why was that my first thought?
Sticking with the seriousness of this for a minute. I totally understand and I have total comprehension of how my great way of putting it, jealousy of myself. It's taken me years, and I'm a bloke, and men take longer, but I do try and I strive and all that. And I fail. I'm not saying I succeed, but I have over the years. I've really come to understand how, and I think without going into the details of our own intimacy, sexual intimacy, I've really tried to understand how I threw so many curveballs and blocks and hurdles for you that made that made you feel unsafe in not a literally attack way.
No,
but unsafe to kind of go with your flow, go how you feel, say what you want, And I hope that that's less now, because I think
it was the rescuer in me.
Yeah.
I should have just brazened through it because I had nothing to be ashamed of. Do you know what I mean? I've never been unfaithful and all that stuff. So it was.
I think my problem was I basically wanted you to dress up as a dominatrix,
Mark,
put me in a
shut up,
cage,
don't be stupid.
and sandpaper my bollocks.
Mark, stop it.
No, I didn't.
Somebody's going to edit that bit and it's going to go
edit
somewhere.
It'll be fun. It'll be great. I'll share it.
But so maybe I jumped the gun there and spoke too much before you'd actually said the sex bit's out the way for a bit, but why people are, if you read out some of that stuff, like what the intimacy, the way they talk about stuff, the safe words.
Yeah, and I was going to go towards that because I thought let's just give you guys some more of the kind of terms and areas that of interest, because this article does talk really interestingly about the mental health benefits of
just blew my mind.
Of BDSM, of reduced stress, of how it can work for better relationships, and I think all of that's really rich. Nadia's kind of gone to that really deep stuff. I'm still at the kind of what's the kit and what's in our suitcase. What we're going to wear. I'm still at that point, whereas she's kind of completely gone to the ethereal depth of it all. Anyway, the types of BDSM you've got are things like, and it's interesting, again, going back to my thought about the extraordinary sharp, I've always liked high heels actually, incredibly sharp high heel as being the thin end of the wedge to BDSM.
Hang on a minute, I'm not going to let you get away with that. The amount of times we've been sat in cars and you've been watching people go, God, look, why is she wearing those heels?
Don't like
how ridiculous they're walking.
Yeah, but not, if you pause, I think they're beautiful things. 98% of women look fucking idiotic walking in them.
They are beautiful things. But women that
when a woman can walk in them, literally I'll lie on the floor and you can stomp on the balls.
Shut up. Never.
Okay, types of BDSM. Age play, pretended to be different age than you are, younger or older. I would also argue that the woman's predilection for, the line, a man in uniform. Baked into that is authority, control, seniority, BDSM. Age play, breath play, this frightens the fuck out of me. Controlling breath during the sexual experience. And this is a big thing, this. Holding your breath or light choking. I'm asthmatic. Not a single part of that appeals. panic, claustrophobia, sweating.
I'm asthmatic.
What's the ventilation? Where's my inhaler? I mean, we made love the other day and I felt like I was wheezing and I felt embarrassed.
We did not. Don't listen to him.
What?
Stop saying things.
Edge play. Engage in activities that push the edge of SSC. What the fuck
Is that?
Is it like TPC?
Look it up.
Hang on.
What is SSC?
I did look it up and I've forgotten it. SSC in oh God, I hope no one goes to my stuff.
Can you imagine?
Safe, sane, and consensual.
Oh.
Edge play. So taking things to the edge of what's safe, edge of what's sane, and the edge of
But
consensuality.
who decides what's sane? I mean, being trussed up like a turkey to me is insane, but to another person that's sane. So you have to decide what's sane before you
You have
start.
to set the parameters, and this is a part of it that I think
Yes.
me and Nadia were surprised by.
And
Was
can you
the list
remind
making.
me that at the end? No, I just want to. I just feel it's really important to just say this. So sorry to interject, but here we are talking in a perfect world.
Yes.
Okay, with grown adults that know
Written.
what they're doing, but I do also know that TikTok-wise, there are young people that are talking about B.D.S.M that do not know any of this,
No.
and it's not enriching their relationship. It's not. So I suddenly thought we're giving a bit of a rosy glow to this, but we're talking about in a perfect world where you've got two consenting adults that have formed ideas of
Yes.
themselves and what they want. But I know that in the younger generation, they're
It's
like
confused.
all supposed to do BDSM.
It's confused. Yeah. And there's a huge asterisk with an exclamation mark in it that says important.
Yeah.
Both partners must consent. In fact, the BDSM community often uses the phrase safe, sane, and consensual because it's different. BDSM
he's
is
an
entirely
18-year-old.
different from sexual assault.
Yeah, is an 18-year-old in the BDSM community, or has some boy seen it somewhere else on some porn, and suddenly
Exactly.
they're saying they like BDSM?
So breath play and choking, that's not edge play, taking things to the edge of things. Gender play, pretending to be different genders. I presume that might be behind pegging, men liking to take it up the backside from women. Impact play, striking the body with the hand or with an object, such as a whip, a cane, or a paddleboard, or a table tennis racket. Table tennis racket's got a great thwack, hasn't it? Role play, assuming a different identity during sexual experience. Those are all in the BDSM area. But then you're right, when you come to kind of terms and you look into the kind of, definitions of things, aftercare, as you've already mentioned, is a massive part of this.
I was laughing when I was reading. Did you click on through to that second article about aftercare?
Well, why sexual aftercare is so important. So sexual aftercare helps partners feel cared for after sex. Aftercare can involve activities like talking, cuddling, or showering together.
This is what I was laughing at. I was laughing so much because I was thinking, oh my God, this is definitely about people that don't have children.
Right.
And I was thinking, I was reading through it and I was thinking, oh, what you mean like sex when you're young? So like you have sex and then you smoke fags in the bed and you talk about what you did and you talked about what you liked and you talked about, and then you might have had a shower and then you might have gone and got food and tea and sat in bed and had it. I mean, no.
Yeah, because when you look at what
Not when
aftercare...
you've got a mortgage.
No, absolutely. Not when you've got kids and you've got to get
a
on.
Dog.
No.
I mean, what did we do? Why did we have kids, dogs, and a mortgage?
It all gets in the way of
and
aftercare.
And exchange that all for aftercare.
In fact, aftercare looks strange.
We didn't know it was aftercare.
No.
But I
And the
thought,
weirdest thing is...
distant memory.
But when you go through what sexual aftercare is, there's a strong, compelling argument.
That's why their mental health
that
is
it's,
better.
hang on, that it's more interesting than the sex.
Especially the snacks.
Yeah, talking, cuddling, reading, watching TV, showering together, eating snacks, taking a nap, having your back rubbed, listening to music and stroking each other's hair. That's why do you have to have sex to do all of that? Why do you have to get into a dungeon to do all of that shit?
But is that or is that not when you're young?
Or just when you don't have commitments. I mean, I suppose...
when you didn't have commitments, when you just used to just think about going out, getting pissed, and having sex. And that's what you used to think all the time. How am I going to have it? Where am I going to have it? What am I going to do? Because there was nothing else that you had to think about.
Yeah, but
So
you're
that's
not going to be maybe that's why there's a lot of people whose kids have left out, a lot of older BDSMers, because
Yes.
actually you can have a resurgence of
Exactly.
freedom. And I do think that that's important. I do think we often think, oh God, why do these older people all seem to be going mad for it? They're fucking kids.
Do we?
Yeah.
Do we think
Well, I do.
why?
I sort of, in suburbia, you think, why there's swingers
back to
parties
suburbia.
happening everywhere? Because their kids have left home and they can suddenly do it.
Exactly.
And because actually things are sagging, better to put on a lycra suit, better to put on tight stuff.
Something that will hold it up.
Yeah, you know. all that stuff.
But on that, you know, I was very interested to read the bit about how, especially men, more so men than women, get depressed after sex.
Right.
Did you see
I
that?
didn't see that bit. No, where was that?
Well, of course you bloody didn't see it.
No, I never. Well, no. Okay. Well, on that, that's
And
an
so
important
the
thing.
aftercare. But now I think that's a whole podcast on itself. Men getting depressed after sex.
I need to say something about that.
Tell me.
Well, apparently there is a physiological, biological reason for that, because the expulsion of sperm, it leads to, there's the momentary high, obviously, but it does lead to a micro crash of the soul.
Calm down.
Calm down. Very good. Was that intentional?
Of course. What do you mean, was it intentional?
Hang on, no.
Calm down, like in drugs, come and then you're down.
In fact, you didn't need to draw a picture. Let me explain to you also, there's a physiological reason for that. There's also actually, and this sounds weird, say, okay, how do I do it?
I think I've got an idea.
No, say you haven't had sex for a while and you have sex, and unfortunately you're very excited and it all happens a bit too quickly, but you've really enjoyed it, everyone's had a great time, but you're like, fucking hell, we had a moment across a week and it was as fast as a fucking flash in the pan. Doesn't mean it wasn't fun, doesn't mean you didn't enjoy it. A little bit of a depression kicks in because you think, oh my God, I'm gonna not have to, we're our lives mean, we'll wait that long again, and the same fucking thing will happen. I'm talking from personal experience here. You know, you can, with all the will and let me also explain. When you have more sex, you have more space and quite literal physical time, because your body's used to doing it more, to enjoy it for longer and have more time with it. And I do think men especially have a huge amount of pressure on performance, how long before they come, all the rest of it. And sometimes there is a depression that kicks in because not because you want something and you need it and you don't. It's not about that. It's about, oh wow, this is so nice and it's so short-lived.
I want to suggest something. I'm not saying this is it, but I just want to suggest something and see if you think there could be some. But first of all, before that,
What do you think of what I just said?
what
though?
you just said
Oh, right.
was the crystallization of 1 foot in the past, 1 foot in the future, not enjoying that moment. So
No,
think,
you do
"Shit,
enjoy
I've
that
been wanting
moment."
to do it. Oh, no, I'm talking about the after sex.
Yeah.
You're not going, wow, that was so lovely. You're straight into. That's not, how long is that going to be? So that was quite interesting to hear that but what could it be? And I understand there's the physiological thing. I think men, more so than women, need the validation that somebody loves them, a woman loves them, comes from them having sex with them. Right?
Yeah, more so for men, for sure.
Much more
Yeah,
for men.
yeah.
A man wanting me.
Well, if you're in a relationship,
A man wanting me, right? Like I don't know. I don't feel more loved when
You've had sex.
no.
Right,
That's not where I get my love nutrition from.
right.
It's lovely. It's wonderful. It's all of that. But I don't need that to know that you love me.
Well, I don't need just
Right.
that.
No, I'm not saying that, but I know that. But I'm just saying, I wonder, and I'm not even necessarily you, because you are in a relationship and you know you're loved. But I'm wondering if for a lot of men, yes, the orgasm is gone. They might think, oh God, that's an orgasm gone, and I want more. But I wonder if it's also a search for love, because if that's love,
I entirely agree.
and it's like,
If I think back to my wilderness years and what one, yeah, no, I agree. I think it's almost the orgasm. It's like a bipolar in the sexual encounter where There's the high of the, when you're single and you meet people and you have a
want
one
you
night
and need
stand.
you so much
You
in
think
that
you want it.
moment.
Yeah, and actually, weirdly, when you're younger, whatever, it goes, when you're drunk, you can go for long. All these, it sounds weird, that part of it, how long you can have sex for. It's not just about that. But there is that idea of the chase and the having it and the doing it. And I think you're absolutely right. I think when you're maybe not in a good relationship, or you are in a good relationship, when you've had that moment, I don't even think it's a conscious.
It's the connection.
It's not a
I don't think
conscious
it's
thought.
conscious.
I just think a part of your soul is crushed momentarily because you're like, oh, I've put so much store in something that is actually really transient and shouldn't carry
But maybe
everything.
And maybe it's not just men. Maybe and obviously it's too much
really
of a generalisation. But I just wonder if, for many people, the only time that they feel free to really connect, we've got our tattoos that only connect, is that, like, I know you love, if you do hug me, you do love it, but you cannot get into it regularly. You just can't do it because you're so restricted in yourself.
I think that's changed a lot.
It's got better, but it's like.
Because it's not about not wanting to do
No.
It's about allowing myself.
I'm not saying it as a defect or you not being nice or whatever. I'm just saying that I think that you are a very tactile person trapped in a non-tactile mindset.
I get trapped in the. Here's a particular.
Your low self-esteem.
No, not just that. But I've done some work on this with also a therapist years ago. I have, unfortunately, and I don't want to go into the wheres and whyfores of why this happened, but I think it speaks to why I became a director, why I work in images, why I'm interested in filming, why I'm interested.
Back.
It's the step back, and it's not about control from I need to control everything.
No.
Though to be a director, you are controlling. And if you think about the way I don't direct by control. I direct by collaboration, by a generating of a kind of nice kind of atmosphere of cooperation, and everyone gets to the right place. But interestingly, this connection was made by my shrink because of the experiences and some of the things I witnessed and saw and went through as a kid and growing up. I have what's called a very ocular. It's really hard for me to not forever view the situation almost like a CCTV, because that CCTV default for me is about staying safe. It's about staying safe and being across it, not from a controlling. And when I've been at my worst, and if I've been drinking, there have been times where it has been controlling and it forms jealousy and it's bad. But at other times, it's really a habit that I struggle with. But it also speaks to, without again going into the details, there's a certain type of sex that I quite like, or thing that one might fantasize about, that has that aspect to it too. And so that's part of it, that it can, and I really understand how something that wasn't nice as an experience, being an observer, can become something that can become quite sort of playful in your intimacy. And so that has been something that I've really allowed myself not to be afraid of, and I've actually stepped towards it, and I've kind of felt more comfortable with it. But I think that also creeps into this hugging and intimacy thing. I am tactile. I always think of myself as tactile, and I want to be, and I love that but I'm always a bit afraid, and I'm always kind of working out what's the safety zone here. Can I do this, or not?
But it's awkward for you.
Yeah, it is.
And like when we first together, and I noticed after a few weeks, like, and I've said this, wouldn't I, like, you'd hug me, but you'd be like a director outside of it discussing it. And so I never feel you're like really easy with it. Like, if you were to hug me, to put your arm around me, you would vocalise what you're doing.
Can I be really honest about something that's a bit sad for me? I could be like that, though. Before we go to all of the negative aspects of drink and drugs allowed me to be in that for a bit longer.
To be more relaxed.
It allowed me to not have that, and I miss that. Yeah. I miss that. So the ease of a social situation. It's a similar thing. I think that's why I turned to drink and drugs a lot, because I did find it would calm that discomfort or awkwardness around intimacy for a bit. Obviously, it would always end up fucking blowing up in my face. But in terms of the entry point of getting into a situation, finding yourself in an intimate situation and actually sitting with it and actually feeling comfortable enough with it to just lie and stay, and that was very much something I do miss about my drinking and drugging years, because that just took the edge off that self-awareness. And when I talk about being able to take that you know, when I talk about wanting to be, I just want a bit of an anaesthetising from things. It's not literally I want to be off my head. I just want that. It's a common. And that is born from a real electric hum of fear. Things were, without getting, you know, we've talked about it a little bit. Things were so, and goes back to your thing about, is there always a kind of trauma at the back of these things? There is for me.
I know.
There's huge trauma.
I mean, I never want to know the details.
No, and that
because I don't think it's good for us as
no, absolutely not. But I think I've even managed to turn some of that trauma, which I've worked on with a therapist. I've even managed to turn some of that trauma into something that can work for me personally, in a comfort and intimate place. But if I'm really honest, as I sit here now, I really miss. And I think it's weird how this topic has spoken to that, because although it's not about me wanting to get into dungeons and stuff, but this is all about awareness and safety. And the thing that you took us to straight away was how actually the feeling of trust and safety that engaging in this level of BDSM requires of a relationship is something that, in fact, when I took drugs and drank, I could remove just that element of it.
I don't know if that's true.
No, not
Maybe
always.
That's your idea of it.
No, I think that's my idea of it. But I know that it certainly did getting into situations, not getting out of them. Getting out of them was a fucking disaster.
I'm not talking about situations. I'm talking about the ease of just being affectionate day to day with your partner.
Yeah.
But listen, God, that was very content-rich.
Wasn't it? Fascinating. Fascinating.
Accidentally.
Oh man, so I'm going to quickly go on to Growler, and I'm going to order loads and loads of leather. That's a shop on Old Compton Street, actually. In fact, we got a package the other day from somewhere which was called Nasty Pig, and I went to it, and it was a homosexual fetishist club, but it was a gift sent to us by someone.
And it was a lovely soap.
It was a lovely
But you were freaking out before he opened it.
Who's ordered me a fetishist kit? But anyway, so there we go.
But also, I do think, just before we finish, Mark has no memory of this podcast that we did a couple of months ago, which was the 3-hour marriage.
No, I do. I just can't quite remember which.
And it was like, you're taken out because so many people just get locked into coming in, doing all the stuff that they normally do within a marriage. So you take an hour where you sort stuff out that hasn't been sorted out. Like that might be an argument. It could be the fact that the blinds still haven't been done. So you take an hour of practical. Then you take an hour of intimacy, and then you take an hour where you each do your own thing. And I think we should do that soon. Okay. And then we can do that as a podcast and have more of this conversation.
Okay, cool. All right.
Hit the subscribe button. Please like it if you've liked it. Please share it if you really like it. And also, if you're listening to us on podcast, you can head over to YouTube and have a look at Mark, because we also put this up on video.
Yeah, why would they want to look at me? I'm going to go and buy some slapping instruments.